The girl is crying and struggling in the back alley. The man calmly draws the last image for her. 12 years later. This painting appeared in the black market. This is one of the famous serial killers of CSI. The Blue 7 Killers. It is now in the black market and has been raised to 1.000 yuan each. It also comes with a defense certificate. This is an underground killer goods trade. All the relics of serial killers are given to these collectors as a treasure. Today's highlight is the car of Lucas. The pioneer 20 years ago. Lucas was notorious for killing 10 people in a row in 1995. Until a few months ago. He was executed. The cover of the coffin was cut open. In the car, there was a fresh corpse. The host was shocked. The bloody scene made the spectators excited. They took pictures. This is the first time they have been so close to the murder. The police arrived at the scene soon. The victim is called Demo. This is the host's partner. The relics of the serial killers earned a lot of money before his death. Some of these blood-stained things came from the police auction. The other part came from prison. Speaking of the pioneer Lucas, Morgan still has a record. He was only 12 years old that year. This beast killed a young girl every once in a while. At that time, the whole Winchester was in a panic. Unexpectedly, an already corrupted killer was made famous by these murderers. Demo was stabbed more than 10 times. According to the blood type, this car is the scene of the first crime. A young man died in a car of serial killers. Everyone on the scene could be the killer. The host said he had to hold several meetings with the victim every year. The victim kept drinking, taking medicine, and was depressed. His temper was particularly irritable. Dealing with these murderers all day and being stabbed to death was a matter of time. However, his death made this car more valuable. Morgan found a few fresh fingerprints in the dust in the car. At this time, two young people, Wulong and Feng Chu, actually crossed the warning line and secretly took a picture with the body. Wulong said they had never seen a dead person. This is too exciting. Wulong can only be like a father and scold the young people. You are still so young. Find some serious hobbies. You think they are just stupid. Not bad. Wulong. Don't let them go. The data shows the fingerprints on the car came from a woman named Xiaomei. Her older sister, Damei, was one of the victims of the shooting 20 years ago. Xiaomei was only 7 years old that year. She and her sister watched TV at home alone and did not break into the window. Her sister could only hide her 7-year-old sister in the closet. At that moment, the shooter broke into the room and stabbed her sister more than 10 times. The 7-year-old Xiaomei also cried and witnessed her sister's death with her own eyes. Surprisingly, Xiaomei and the victim were actually boyfriend and girlfriend. Although the victim was doing the business of selling relics, he was a soft-hearted and kind person. Last night, when Xiaomei and the victim were arranging the exhibition, they left their fingerprints on the crime scene. I heard that my daughter was arrested. Xiaomei's father came to the police station to arrest people at the first time. The murder 20 years ago destroyed this poor family. Not only Xiaomei. Her father also never walked out of that conspiracy. Her father was also very opposed to her falling in love with someone like Damei. But she only has one daughter. There is no other way but to spoil her. The same father. Of course. Luo Su can feel the same way. The result of the incident shows that Damei was stabbed 11 times. There is a triangular bone fragment in the ribs. Judging from the color, this fragment doesn't look like fresh. This bone was grinded extremely finely. It turned out to be a dagger made of human bones. In this way, the weapon is a bone knife. This is not an ordinary bone. DNA comparison results show that this knife came from the already illegal beggar Lucas. Who is the owner of the car? What kind of pervert turned the serial killer into a murder weapon and continued his style of committing crimes? The murderer admires Kai Tangsho. He firmly believes that Kai Tangsho's body is dead and his soul is immortal. A few days before he died, he posted his product on Weibo. At that time, there was a knife made of human bones on his desk. But now this knife is gone. The bone knife is made of Kai Tangsho's tendons. But when he was executed, there was no bone missing. The only possibility is that someone stole Kai Tangsho's body. So Luo Su found the boss of the funeral home. The boss recalled that Kai Tangsho had no relatives. According to the program, He was supposed to cremate the body. But unexpectedly, the day before the cremation, the body was stolen. The boss was afraid that this would affect the business of the funeral home, so he didn't report it. But the thief left a wine bottle at the scene. The lab found a clear fingerprint after identification. The owner of the fingerprint is called Tuada. He is the neighbor of Kai Tongsho's Lucas. He saw Kai Tongsho washing his hands full of blood on the bed. So he chose to call the police at once. This stopped the madman from continuing to commit crimes. Tuada also became a famous person and sold Kai Tongsho's souvenirs. He made a lot of money. Could it be that Tuada stole the body and wanted to take the last bonus of Kai Tongsho? He accidentally left the wine bottle in the funeral home. But Tuada denied all the accusations. He personally sent the murderous idol to prison. Maybe it was a pervert fan who deliberately left the wine bottle in the funeral home, but Tuada has been in this circle for so long that he knows something. He said that the body of the serial killer must have appeared in the blood. There must be something there. In order to show loyalty, Tuada provided his own account and password on the blood market website. The website is full of mad and perverted murder holes. After investigation, the bones of Kai Tongsho were made into 8 ancient knives. There is a user named Dedratorsky60 who has been asking for these knives. This mysterious user is Xiao Mei's father. Kai Tongsho killed his eldest daughter 20 years ago. Maybe he wanted to find the remains of Kai Tongsho and destroy them. The victim Daming is a bloodthirsty businessman who relies on eating human blood steamed buns. A father would allow his daughter to date this kind of person. Could it be that the father killed Daming to protect his daughter? Coincidentally, the father disappeared at this time. Xiao Mei said that her father learned a few days ago that Kai Tongsho had not been cremated. His ancient knife was still on the black market. So she found Daming to ask for help. Daming was quick to do things. He quickly helped her contact the seller of the ancient knife. But the other party wants $20,000. Her father had already traded with the seller 2 hours ago. Xiao Mei did not want anyone to obstruct her father. So she kept it from the police. It was too late. The police arrived at the transaction site on time. The transaction was over, leaving only a bloody blood. The poor father had already been stabbed. This desperate father wanted to destroy everything in order not to let his descendants imitate what Kai Tongsho had done and do his best. Because he couldn't get so much money. His father even brought a gun that was not on the market to threaten the seller. He completely underestimated the other party's delirium. His father's wound has some white cracks. And there is a long tassel in his mouth. This is a Malupi-made decorative object from the tassel jacket that Kai Tongsho wore before his death. Morgan remembered the scene where Daming was killed and left a lot of blood that the tassel had swept. In other words, the two murderers may be the same person. The murderer not only had Kai Tongsho's tassel, but also wore his leather jacket. He knew that Daming and Meiba had played tricks on him. So he killed them all. If Xiao Mei had told the police the truth earlier, her father would not have died. If you want to buy Kai Tongsho's jacket, you must go through a bloody transaction and secretly know where the bloody offline transaction will be. But those people won't talk to strangers. It's hard for a handsome guy like Nick to get in. Unless he has something to sell. Just kidding. Everything in Jinwu City is a rare treasure in the black market. Who do you look down on? So Nick picked the most valuable one and came to the bloody transaction. He showed the goods in his hand to the doorkeeper. The little fat man's eyes were straight. Come on. Come on. Come on. The big customer is coming. Ask the boss to come out and pick up the guest. Nick went through the dark corridor and met a few buyers who were trading. The goods in their hands were not worth mentioning compared to Nick's. The one in front of him was the bloody boss. Nick opened the goods in his hand. Oh my god. This is the first model. The guy who chased CSI must be familiar with this model. I would like to call him the most powerful serial killer. None of them. Nick wanted to use this model to exchange the ancient knife. This transaction is not too cost effective. The boss hurriedly called the owner of the ancient knife. Yagubu. Yagubu was wearing a loose leather jacket when it was open. He showed 8 ancient knives. This time he wanted to put a fork in front of Nick. This knife is worth a lot of money. The big fish has come out of the water. All the people were shot by the police. Nick was stunned. I love you. I didn't spend a penny. I got all the goods. It's perfect. However, the lab tested those ancient knives and leather jackets. It turned out that they were all test products. This goods is just a second-hand toy. It's not expensive. It's just a stupid hat. He said he was soulmate with the first-time buyer. They have the same spirit. If you like him, you can go with him. You don't even dare to die. How dare you say you worship him? In order to take care of him, the villager specially selected an 18-meter tall black man to be his partner. Look how happy he is. There are 7 test products, however. There is one that is really made of human bones. It comes from another serial killer coincidentally. The bodies of the 2 serial killers were all stolen from the same funeral home. The original owner of the funeral home was also one of the real sellers. The funeral home was not effective. The goods were stolen. The bodies of the murderers were peeled off and the goods were sold. These things that should have been destroyed were turned into that the murderers worshipped. In order to fight for broad processing, the boss was willing to provide a list of buyers. All the belongings of the murderer were sold to the same person. Xiao Gu thought that the name of the buyer was familiar. It turned out that he was one of the young people who broke into the murder scene at the beginning. Wulong Xiao Gu thought he was just young and ignorant. But in fact, Wulong is a natural anti-socialist. He worshipped the murderer and offered all his belongings to the most conspicuous position when he learned that Damang and Meiba wanted to destroy the murderer's belongings. Wulong thought this was a sacred blasphemy, so the idol's ancient knife killed them separately. The first sense of killing made Wulong so excited that he couldn't sleep all night. So he went back to the murder scene to enjoy his masterpiece with the passers-by. He heard that he would soon be able to accompany his idol. He was a little excited when he thought about it. When the case was closed, Xiao Mei opened her hand and took away all his loved ones. What's ironic is that no one will remember the name of the victim. People's hearts will always be desired. Crime will never be eradicated. A brutal imitator turned into another legend. This is the end. Wulong's actor was Richard Harmon. His mother was an actress and his father was a director. A few years later, he became a well-known American star. Like Matthew from The Little Mermaid. The most famous character was Danny from The Big Kiss. Harmon was born with an evil and cold temper. So he rarely played a positive character. This season's story is based on many famous cases in the past. The murder case of Shui Xian is full of warm memories. Like the opening scene is based on the 3rd season and the 6th season of the Blue 7 Killers. The Nazan avatar on Fengchu's t-shirt is based on the 9th season and the 11th season of the Blue 7 Killers. The 59-second letter is based on the 1st season and the 23rd season of the Rabbit Killers. In order not to leave any evidence, he hanged all his body hair cleanly. The Human Blood Necklace and the 13th season of the Vampire Killers is based on the 30th season and the 13th season of the Blood Doll. The Serial Murder House from the 14th season and the 9th season is based on the 7th season of the Model Killers. These are all the memories that have accompanied us along the way in the old season. I am Kayleigh. Thank you for watching. Your support is the motivation for me to keep going. Thank you.